This is chapter 22, example 4. So what we have here is another example problem similar to the other previous couple ones where we are keeping a running total of something, and in particular what we have in this problem is we're keeping the running total of one of two inputs. Now this problem differs from the previous couple problems in that we're not adding the inputs, we're choosing one of the inputs to add. So it's either going to be the greater input or the less than input. So anyway, details here, let's get this started from at the beginning, which is the top level. Here's my top level diagram. This is interface, this is outside world, as the outside world sees the circuit. So reading through this thing, we see that this is very similar to the last problems in that it's keeping a running total. Anytime I see the words running total, that means accumulator. There's my accumulator. So what it's adding to the circuit is one of two values, and it's either the greater than or less than value. So I'm going to take a little different tack on this problem and kind of giving up for a minute here. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to just draw another level of the circuit here, and this circuit right here is going to magically choose which value to raise on this thing. So anyway, yep, and so that reminds me I forgot the button. Okay, there's our button. So what we have here is the button, and we have an A coming in here and a B coming in here. I'm going to go ahead and change these to 12-bit, and so I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to put a note on this one saying it's unsigned binary, so this is 0. Might as well say. Okay, so we've almost done with the circuit, except we need to define this box here. What I know is in this box is it definitely has a mux in it. It has to choose either A or B to be output. I know it has a comparator, and it needs to choose between A and B. Okay, so this is going to be A. It's going to come into both of these, and B is coming into both of these also. The choice that it makes here is, so what we need here, I'm going to take a guess on this, and we'll just work through it and see if it's right. So what we have is, I'm going to say LT here. I think I can do it either way. As well as the button is going to form some logic right here. I don't know what that logic is, but it is going to be the selection logic. Now, so this problem is a little bit complicated and confusing, and so I'm not gonna mess around with it. I'm gonna map it out directly. So what I have here is an LT and a BTN, and I got a select there. And so this is just simply brute forcing it, which is okay. In this case, I mean, it's only two inputs, so it's certainly doable. But you got to be careful. This LT equals 1, that's A is less than B. LT equals 0, A is greater than or equal to B. I know that to be a fact. And also BTN equals 1. It's actually it's a less than. BTN equals 0. It's going to choose a greater than. Hopefully that helps on this thing. So in this case, we've got LT equals 0. We know A is the greater one, and we've got the button equals 0. It says choose the greater one. So I'm just going to take a guess on this. And I don't think it's a guess. We just need to make it work here. Okay, we'll go through this again. LT is 0, which means A is greater, and BTN is 0. So I'm going to choose I need to choose the greater one, which is A. So that's going to be a 0. Okay, so LT is a 0, which means A is the greater value, button's a 1, which means I'm going to check the lesser value, which is a 1. Okay, because A is greater than, LT is a 1, which means A is less than B. The button's 0, which tells me to choose the greater one. A is less than B. B's the greater one. So that's a 1. And lastly here, less than is a 1, which means A is less than B. But I want to choose I'm going to choose the less than one, which is 0. So in the end, this logic is it's XOR. It's good enough. I can just put an arrow there. Okay, now this problem was very confusing. I mean, it's very simple, but at the same time, it's very confusing. Now, I could have taken a guess on this one, but sometimes it gets so confusing, it's just easier to map everything out and revert back to brute force design. It only had 2 inputs, so that allowed us to do it. So the last thing we need to do here is tell me what controls the circuit. We got a mux here. That's internal control. We got a button that's involved in the control process because it's involved in the selection process. That's external control. We got 2 internal control here. So this one is internal and external. And we'll call this problem done finally. So the moral of the story is try to reason it out, take guesses. If you know what you're doing, by all means just do it, but don't be afraid to map it out very directly. And I believe this is right. I'm sure someone will tell me if it's not.